Good morning and welcome. I'm Melfort Campbell. I'm chairman of the Atlantic Salmon Trust, and I want to start by welcoming everybody here today and before the event thank all those who've contributed to what I know is going to be a very successful conference, certainly with the interest that it's inspired and with your attendance. I'm expecting great things from the next couple of days. So, welcome to you all on behalf of the Atlantic Salmon Trust and IBIS. Colin will say something about IBIS in a moment, but I want to tell those of you who know us a little bit more about AST and why we're involved. The Trust was founded in 1967 as the Atlantic Salmon Research Trust, and there is a clue there. Although the word research is no longer included in our name, our focus remains very much on research. We may not ourselves have the resources to commission large-scale research projects, but we can promote research and provide the seed corn funding to help scientists develop ideas and projects by contributing to that funding and by bringing scientists together in workshops and conferences. While our name refers only to salmon, we're equally interested in sea trout and have a number of current projects on that. To give one example, we played a key role in developing the concept of SalSea to find out more about what's happening to our salmon at sea and provided the early funding that helped trigger very substantial funding from the EU and Total and others. You can find out more about our activities on our website and in the leaflet, which I hope you've all got within your delegate papers. If you were inspired to support us, you'd be most welcome. And again, you can find out more from the website and from the leaflet, and there are a number of us in attendance here today. But we're not interested in research for research's sake. Although we're not immune to the fascination of discovering more about salmon and sea trout, even if that knowledge does not seem immediately useful. We're primarily concerned with the practical application of those research outputs. We want to ensure that developments in the scientific understanding of salmon, sea trout, and their environment lead to their better conservation and management. We also want to ensure that all those interested in these fish, be they anglers, fishery owners, managers, and indeed the wider general public, that they are made aware of these latest developments and their implications for management, conservation, and the survival of these species. We've therefore been delighted to work with IBIS, who have very similar objectives. This conference is the third event we've held together under the knowledge transfer strand of IBIS. Last November, we held a workshop in Carlingford on the importance of small streams for salmonids, and in September, a workshop in Newry on the tracking of salmon at sea. Details of these events are on both AST and IBIS websites. Recent developments in salmon science, particularly in genetics, are of direct relevance to salmon stocking. There's now a greater understanding of the likely effectiveness of different types of stocking and their impact on wild fish. But many people involved with salmon have yet to catch up with all of this, so stocking seemed to us and to IBIS to be a particularly relevant topic for a conference. Of course, remaining stocks and the stocks we have remain a contentious issue, and how we boost those stocks is obviously a topic for us all, and different rivers handle those in different ways. And I'll expect to hear a good deal about that variety over the next few days. But I very much doubt that we'll emerge with a consensus view on all aspects of stocking. But I do hope that we'll all learn a great deal that is of relevance to decisions on stocking, and that future debates will be based on a greater understanding of the realities of salmon stock dynamics and genetics, and a clearer idea of what has worked and what hasn't. And you'll hear in the next couple of days examples of both. You'll also hear about different types of stocking and about the different reasons why stocking programs are undertaken. This last point is crucial. Discussions on stocking are often confused by the fact that the participants are trying to achieve different objectives. Stocking to help restore a depleted salmon stock is not the same as stocking to boost catches to the rod, and it is important to define what you will want to achieve before you decide how you're going to achieve it. The conference will, I hope, give us all a greater awareness of what we can realistically expect stocking to achieve for us and of the circumstances in which stocking is likely to prove cost-effective way of increasing our salmon numbers. So I hope you have an enjoyable conference. Thank you for attendance, and I'll now pass over to Colin. Have a seat.
And we're a lead partner in the IBIS programme, and really just wanted to say a few words just to welcome you here today and say the agency were very interested in this particular conference, and we're very pleased with the interest generated and to see a great attendance here today. I suppose as end users and also researchers involved in management of salmon and salmonids, it's a particular interest, and we're very interested to hear what's going to come out over the next couple of days, and hopefully everybody else here will gain something from this conference. I'd like to take this opportunity just to thank the Atlantic Salmon Trust for their support, and in particular Ken Whelan and Ivor Llewellyn, without whom this event wouldn't have happened. And also the IBIS team in particular, who I think have done a superb job in organising and pulling everything together. I suppose IBIS is based on a foundation of partnership between our three organisations, which are the University of Glasgow, Queen's University Belfast, and the Lochs Agency. I think it's probably gone better than any of us had actually expected, and especially from the early days when we were trying to pull it all together in that dim and distant past. It seems such a long time ago. And I think Colin now is going to go on and say a few words about IBIS, maybe in a little bit more detail about what we're doing, and hopefully some of it will be of interest. And again, he'll provide some details on access to the data. Okay, thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. What a fantastic turnout. Andrew tells me 158 people have turned out to talk about one aspect of management of one species living in the marine environment and the freshwater on occasion. That's not the only problem that we face as policymakers, fisheries managers, or in my case, scientists that are interested in providing the answers to management-related questions. And I want to say something about what we're doing here and what IBIS is doing to address both the questions that we're dealing with today, but other questions as well. As Melford has said, this conference is a joint conference by Atlantic Salmon Trust and IBIS, and I want to just tell you a little bit more about IBIS. I'm guessing most of you know an awful lot more about the Atlantic Salmon Trust than you know about IBIS. But I want to say just a little bit about IBIS, because IBIS has brought us together today and has managed to fund this event. It's provided the resources for the organisers who've put everything together, but it's also managed to essentially pay for the costs of you being here, apart from your travel costs and overnight accommodation. So, as Paddy's already alluded to, IBIS itself is a partnership. It's a partnership between these three organisations, the Lochs Agency, Queen's University Belfast, in particular their marine lab at Portaferry, and Glasgow University. So I represent one element of that. I'm the Glasgow University element. And very specifically, Glasgow University's field station on Loch Lomond's side, the Scottish Centre for Ecology and the Natural Environment. The project is doing a number of things. As Melford mentioned, it's been helping, along with AST, run a number of workshops on applied aspects of aquatic management. But it's also employing a very large number of researchers. Right at the moment, we've got 33 current researchers beavering away on a bunch of topics which are applied topics related to management of aquatic ecosystems. I don't expect you to read any of this, but this is just a list to show you the breadth of activity that is going on across the IBIS project, across the three partners. These are 34 completed or current research projects that are active right as we speak. And one of the aims of the IBIS project is to deliver a very big research program on aquatic ecosystems in these sort of general areas: conservation management, human impact, and aquaculture management, and particularly focusing on shellfish aquaculture management. So what I thought I would like to do is actually just cherry-pick 3 of those projects and say just a very small amount about them, and I cherry-pick 3 that I think is likely to be of interest to this particular audience. The 3 people I'm going to mention and show photographs of are leading on these projects, and they're actually all in the audience. So if you want more detail, they'll be around at coffee break and lunch break. Please capture them and talk to them. They're very keen to talk about the work they're doing because they're all exceedingly enthusiastic young scientists. So Rob Breakley is looking at the potential for impact of the proliferation of small in-stream hydro schemes, and particularly those kind of hydro schemes which involve using Archimedes screws. He's using a range of new technologies, including pit tagging and radio tagging, and using instrumentation round an Archimedes screw on the Don to look at how fish behave as they come up to the screw and how they get past the screw. Can they pass through the screw, as the manufacturers of these kinds of screws claim? And if they do they get through without damage? Those are the kinds of questions he's attempting to answer using some pretty neat technology. Travis Van Leeuwen, we managed to attract Travis to come and work for us from Canada. Travis is working on sea trout. His interests are what actually makes a sea trout. Why are some brown trout turning into sea migratory and therefore very valuable fish by migrating to sea? He's using a number of techniques, but he's looking at individual variation in decision making and why some fish will undertake the metamorphosis to go to sea and why some won't. It seems strange that we don't, as a community, yet really have grasped the answer to that really quite fundamental question. But until we do start grasping the answer to that fundamental question, we probably won't understand why in some places there seems to be a significant shift from sea trout to brown trout in some places. And the last person I wanted to mention is Matt Newton, who's sitting at the back there. Matt is also working on barriers. He's interested in barriers to salmon migration where the barriers are known to be permeable, so fish can get over them, at least at some times, but perhaps not all the time, as sort of evidenced by that fish that's struggling to get over this weir apron here. Matt is interested in what are the sort of sublethal impacts of fish attempting to get over barriers and only getting over them sometimes and perhaps being delayed for significant periods of time. And he's working on the Foyle catchment in Northern Ireland. He's instrumented a very large weir at Sion Mills, and he's able to use radio tagging to be able to determine exactly where fish that are coming up towards the weir, where exactly are they going? Which part of the weir are they trying to get across? If they can't get across one part of the weir, what is their behaviour? Do they simply drop downstream? Do they make multiple attempts and thereby use lots of energy to try and get across the barrier? Or do they simply wait and probably conserve their energy? And so can they determine very quickly whether the barrier is passable or not? He's using these radio tags inserted esophageally into salmon to determine their behaviour and getting some really very, very astonishing results. All 3 of these people have posters out in the foyer there, and they will be around at poster time. So if you're interested in any of these projects, they're not directly related to the topic that we're discussing today and tomorrow, these people will be very keen to speak to you. So that's all I've got to say, other than to wish you an excellent conference. We've got some superb speakers today and tomorrow, and everything is shaping up for what should be a fabulous 2 days. Thank you.